Hi, everybody. John here at PT. Dan was saying the training. How are you, Dan?
Wonderful.
Excellent.
Don't you always hate people that are eternally optimistic, though? They kind of scare you,
Yeah,
don't
it makes you a little nauseous, doesn't it? Yeah, I get it. I get it.
they? I don't know that I would have used the word nauseous, but I understand.
That's the whole point. Use something different. Get a 10.
There you go.
All right. So let's talk about overcoming objections. When I started in the biz in 93, 94, overcoming objections was part of the sales training process. It was very structured. Client says they want to think about it. Here's what you do. Client says, I need to talk to so-and-so. Here's what you do. And we've become better in terms of more human to human, more real, more genuine, I think, in how we engage on these things. But I've also seen some orgs slip where they really don't coach objection overcoming anymore.
Mhm.
And they've gotten bad at it. And they've sort of just gone to that camp of, well, if they're ready to engage, they'll tell me, I'll follow up and we'll see where it goes, rather than talk these things through. So there's a way to do this in 2022, 23 that's more appropriate, more professional, but you still work the process, if you
Mhm.
will. So talk about overcoming objections today, what that looks like, and things that are important to think about when doing so.
It depends on the objection that you are hearing, first of all.
That's
If it's
fair.
something like, hey, I'm offering this and you to you in red, and they're like, we'd like blue, I can figure that out.
Yeah.
Some of the more difficult ones are things like your price is too high, or things like I need to think it over and I'll get back to you. And so what happens with those is I first look at my sales process and say to myself, is there some way I could have stopped that objection from happening in the
Yes.
first place?
Yes.
So for example, your price is too high. When am I hearing that? If I've heard that after I've given them my quote, proposal, and presentation, I messed up. And if that's the place where I'm finding out that my price is too high, I need to go back and go, where could I have discussed money earlier
Yes.
to see if it's even appropriate? So in Sandler's system, it's first we find out pain, the emotional reason why people buy, and then we talk money. And we haven't shared solutions. We're just saying, hey, in round numbers, it could look like this. Is that even doable? And the person says yay or nay, and then we know where to go from there. And
Yeah.
so another one might be, hey, I need to think about this. Let me get back to you. All right, where did you hear that? Did you hear that after you gave them the quote and the proposal and presentation? If so, how do you stop that? Well, you stop that by telling them before you give it to them, hey, at the end of this, can you give me a decision?
Yep.
Or however you want to phrase it. And that will stop a lot of those objections.
Yeah, when I started on the sales side, it was consumer oriented, but we often dealt with what we would call one-legged appointments. So you'd have one spouse there, not the other.
Mm.
And you try up front to have that conversation around, can you make a decision at the end of this meeting without your partner in the room? Of course I can. You know,
Yeah.
push comes to shove. Well, I've got to talk to,
Yeah.
well, you told me, those kinds of things. So looking into how you conduct things, I think is more important than we're willing to admit.
Yeah.
Upfront contracts, all those kinds of things, how important those are.
Yes.
Um,
Using that as an example, stop making presentations to a single decision maker when you know there's another one.
yes.
You can end the sales call before the presentation and
Yeah.
say, hey, let's get both of you here because I want to hear what they have to say. I want to hear their thoughts so I know how
Yes.
to present here.
Yeah. Well, we also kind of fall in that camp, like doing proposals or, can you give me an example? Um, we fall into that. Well, if I don't, I never got a shot to getting the
Right.
business. So I might as well present the one and then try and bring, we self-talk our way into a lot of things in sales. But I think that diligence of looking into what brought you to the I need to think about it phase is not done enough and that much more important.
I love it when people say it doesn't take long for me to put a proposal together, so I might as well do it. And there
Yes.
may be truth to that, but what they're not taking into account is the negative effect it has on your belief in your products and services, on you, everything, when you
Yep.
keep getting that rejection over and over and over again. Price is too high, delivery is too long, blah blah blah. And so we while it may be quick, we need to make sure that the prospect is qualified to get our proposal or quote.
Yeah, and like we talked about before with that is we mess with ourselves mentally on that because
Yeah.
we've got all these proposals and quotes going out, not coming back, and pipelines and all that
Yep.
kind of stuff. So, all right, everybody. See you again tomorrow.
Take care.